What's up? My name is Dylan Owen. I'm here talking with Rob on Front Row Live.
I am a new fan. I just got introduced to your music by your publicist last week, and I love your lyricism. So before we talk about A Time to Move On, talk to me a little bit about discovering yourself as an artist and more importantly, discovering your lyricism.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad you like the music and so glad you went back into the discography. Yeah, I've been doing it, a long time. Kind of like writing has always been my way to express myself and understand what I'm going through in my life. And I think that's how I've stumbled upon the style that I do now, which is very just like straight from my heart. And of course, I'm inspired by tons of underground lyrical rappers. That's kind of what I grew up listening to. So that was like my first love in terms of genres as a listener. And now I think my music is a blend of a whole bunch of different genres, but the writing and the lyrics is really at the forefront. So I always just try to write about my real life.
Upon first listen, I kind of imagined me back in the day when I would listen to Atmosphere a lot, just because I love the way that he tells a story. I love the way that he paints these pictures for us. And you kind of do the same thing with your music. You paint this picture for your audience and you kind of take us into that era or section that you're talking about or situation that you're talking about. When you do that, is this something that is part of the writing process, that you automatically write your lyrics the way that we hear them on the music, or does it go through a process before we get to hear it the way that we do?
It's an interesting question. I think my way of writing is always that visual. That's just kind of like natural to me. I feel like when I'm describing an emotion in my lyrics, I just kind of set the scene. And I don't know, for me, it's like I paint a picture and for some reason that carries an emotion with it, maybe just the word choice or whatever it is. Sometimes it's just the way certain words sound against the music. So I think that's kind of natural. It's probably the way it starts out is probably pretty true to what you hear in the end. But there's so much like revision and just it definitely goes a long way from like the garbage that I come up with when I'm just writing in my room.
And when it comes to writing, talk to me about this new single, A Time to Move On. Obviously 385 Main Street is a big reason for this track. When did this track kind of start being written? What kind of kickstarted the idea of this track?
Well, I just want to say overall, I always try to write about the big formative things in my life that happen. Like I don't know, just the big moments that I think kind of define who I am and my identity. And this house is a huge part of who I am as a person and as an artist. It's like where I, released my first songs ever back in the day on MySpace years and years ago. And when I was first discovering stuff like Atmosphere. So I started thinking about making this track a few years ago when we put the house on the market. I kind of had the plan to write it eventually. And I've had the beat for about a year now. And it kind of got sent all over the country. We got a live trumpet recorded, got some scratches, turntable scratches recorded, got a hook from Skyler Stone Street, who's incredible. And she's based in California. So all the different files kind of bounced around for the past year. So it's been like a year in the making in terms of the studio and a few years in the making in terms of the sentiment.
And I like the sonics of it. I love that you do get that live DJ scratch kind of vibe. You get that live instrumentation with the trumpets and the piano. What made you want to have those elements as part of this track?
I think I feel like they help to paint the picture of nostalgia in the song for me. And I think sometimes when I usually like to start out just with a very simple loop. That's kind of how I write. And so that just kind of gets my flow down and gets the emotion out there and the song concept out there. And then I like to build it to make it feel just as big and as important as like the lyrics feel to me and the emotions in the song. So yeah, I just felt like those elements painted the picture of what I was seeing in my head and the way I viewed this song, which I want this song to live up to like the memories in our house. And I want everyone else in my family to, you know, feel like, yeah, he did a good job commemorating that place that we lived.
And as you kind of mentioned that, like, how do you feel this particular house kind of built you to be the artist that you are today?
Well, so this house was where I first, as I was saying before, first started posting my music on the internet. And I can remember all, you know, all of those experiences, people that I met on the internet back then who still support me now. And so I feel like I kind of formed my identity as an artist in this house. And even, you know, especially like just with our little janky family computer where I recorded and produced my first tracks. And we had, you know, all of my band practices down in the basement through the years, and I sold CDs and sold merch out of that house for years. So just like so many music memories embedded there, and then of course personal memories, graduating high school, falling in love for the first time, you know, going on my first date, like just you name it, it kind of happened. This was like my high school house. So definitely super formative.
That's awesome. Now you mentioned Skyler as the collaborator for this track. Is she a new collaborator for you, or is she someone that you've kind of worked with on previous tracks, or is that a different voice that I hear on previous tracks?
That's a different voice. She's new.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So talk to me a little bit about Skyler and how did that connection happen? Because it's kind of cool that, as you mentioned earlier, you have different people from around the world that kind of took part on this project with you.
Yeah, definitely. These all my songs go through all different phases, and a lot of friends. They're all just my friends who contribute. I met Skyler through Patrick Droney, who he's one of my best friends, and he did some additional production on the track and recorded, you know, just like a bunch of stems that we used to produce it. So he introduced me to Skyler, and now, you know, I'm lucky enough to call Skyler a friend now, and that's kind of where that connection happened. Pat's down in Nashville, so you know it was just like, yeah, definitely a lot of different places involved. But it basically happened with Patrick.
As far as Patrick goes, like he's another artist that I've been really into. I love his new EP, State of the Heart EP, and like I love that he just recently signed with Warner. What is that chemistry like between you and Patrick when you guys are collaborating on music?
Well, we've been like best friends for years, so it's like good energy. You know, he is one of the two or three people that I email pretty much every demo I ever make to. So as soon as I make like some little voice memo thing that I think is cool, I send it to him. And yeah, if he usually reacts positively if it's something that's like really special. So it's cool. It's like very cool to me that we get to work on music together. We've co-written a bunch of stuff that has like not seen the light of day yet. So I think there's more to come from us for sure. We need like a proper Dylan Owen, Patrick Droney track.
I agree with that. I feel like those two sounds meshed together would be something epic. So I hope you
Definitely.
guys are like really into doing that.
Yeah. He's the best. He's really good people and like insanely talented. I'm glad you like his music.
Now, as far as like this track as a whole, like what do you feel challenged you in order to make this song happen?
I think it was challenging to actually capture and live up to the memories and the house in the writing. I think it would have been easy on this one to just go super general and talk about the general idea of moving on from a place. But I really wanted it to be specific personal memories to me and my brothers and my mom. So that's what I challenged myself to put that in the song and also make sure that I wasn't sacrificing, you know, the flow and the rhythm and just the feeling of it overall. So yeah, I think it was just challenging to strike that balance and hopefully people think that I did a good job with it. Definitely gave it 100%.
Now, this is a new chapter for you, so can fans expect maybe this to be a part of a new body of work that you're working on?
Yeah, definitely. I don't know if this is going to be on an EP or an album or what it's going to be yet, but I have a bunch of songs that I've been working on, and they all fit together in my mind with this thematic tie. And Yeah, I think this is just the first of them, and there's going to be now consistent singles coming out, which is a big change for me. I've never really done that before.
I know. I noticed you have a lot of albums on Spotify, so like you have enough. You have a lot of content, a lot of ideas. So that's pretty awesome.
Thanks. Yeah, yeah. I've put out a lot of big projects, but there's usually like 5 years in between them.
That's awesome, though. Well, congratulations with A Time to Move On, and thank you again for taking the time to talk to me, man.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.